Select Board meeting of January 28th. We will now open with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Chris Barrett.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, a little bit late. We had a rather full executive session before this. Under open forum, the first thing is to recognize Bill Cashman for 24 years service to the fire department as he retired, I believe last Friday was his last day. So we're recognizing him tonight. I don't think...
I have Mike Dennehy on the
Chief
Zoom,
is
so
here.
I just promoted him.
So Chief, if you want to say a few words about Bill?
He may not have heard you because he was just getting into the panelist area, so.
How's everybody doing?
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Chief.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't be there, but we just got back from Chelmsford from a fire, but, Bill Cashman got hired with me back in 2001. He put in 24 years of service to the town of Westford. He had previous experience up on the North Shore and stuff. He has recently retired. We wish him luck and want to congratulate him on his 24 years with the town of Westford.
Great. So thanks, Chief, and thank you, Bill, and enjoy retirement. Next, we have a consent agenda. Request to approve a special license for In the Mood, MO''D, Valentine event at Good Picking Farm. Applicant is Sandra Habe, February 8th, 2025, from 2 to 6 p.m. That's at 506 Gould Road. And secondly, banner requests, there are two. One for Westford Academy graduation. Applicant is Westford Education Foundation. Banner will be posted for May 30th through June 9th, 2025 in front of First Parish Church. And secondly, for Westfest, also sponsored by the Westford Education Foundation. Banner to be up for December 19th through the 29th, 2025, also in front of First Parish Church. Is there a motion to accept or approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next up is a public hearing to approve the transfer from a Mass General Law, Section 15, all alcohol retail package store license from Narragansett Corporation, doing business as Westford Market and Liquors, to Tricia Liquors, Inc., doing business as Westford Market and Liquors, located at 6 Westford Road, 66 Carlisle Road, Westford. Proposed manager is Hitanshu Patel. First is a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Secondly, are you speaking for the applicant?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to tell us, I guess, Patty, is all the paperwork in order?
And I have looked at it. It appears to be fine from our viewpoint.
Yes, and I did review it with the town clerk's office this afternoon. It is in order.
So I guess if you want to speak to the
I didn't want to
question.
interrupt, I just didn't know how you wanted to handle this. If you're approving it, that's fine.
Usually these are pretty quick. If the paperwork is all in order, if there's no history of problems with the new owners, then usually it goes through pretty quickly. So if,
That's fine. Then I would just be asking that you approve the transfer and also the pledge of license.
Could you just identify yourself,
Oh,
please? Thank you.
Okay, my name is Arthur Perlman, I'm the attorney.
okay,
I'll move to approve.
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you.
Good luck in
Thank
business.
Thank you.
Motion to close
So
public
moved.
hearing?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 710 item is to approve the application for a Class 2 auto dealer license from Westford Auto Sales, doing business as 110 Auto Sales LLC, located at 341 Littleton Road.
Hi, I'm Rachel Clare. I'm the owner of Westford Auto. I've been in town here for 43 years now, this next couple of months. Last March, I purchased all the corner down there on 110 and 225. And I've had a gentleman here, Raphael, running my business for the past 2 years. And it's time that I'm gonna try to lay back a little bit and try to retire, go in with semi-retirement. So what I'm doing is and they had a thing on there for 110 auto sales. We have Westford Auto, and I have the whole corner there. What we wanted to do was turn the Westford Auto Sales over to Raphael, My son Kenny is still gonna be affiliated a little bit, and we have another building in the back, which is a subsidiary of Westford Auto Sales, Clear Classics. We keep our classic cars there. And probably 30 years ago, the town gave me a 97 car license, and we wanted to take and change the address on Westford Auto Sales Incorporated to Westford Auto Sales Corp. Is what we're trying to do, just change the business, and they're gonna be the owner of Westford Auto Sales Corp. And I will still be the owner of Westford Auto Sales Inc., we're just on a smaller scale.
Okay.
Well, after 43 years, I think you're entitled to semi-regular.
I think so too. Had a good 43 years, though, met a lot of nice people in town here.
Yeah, is there anything we should know, Patty?
So you're just changing your DBA, really?
Yeah, well, actually, we're gonna change the owner of Westford Auto Sales.
Right.
It's gonna be the
So you're
name has been
changing the-
changed, already approved by the state, Westford Auto Sales Corp. Is
Okay.
what it's gonna be called now. So the incorporated will be taken off, and I am gonna keep Westford Auto Sales Incorporated.
Just so I'm clear, but are we approving what's on the agenda tonight, Scott? We're approving the application for a Class 2 auto dealer license from Westford Auto Sales. So thank you for explaining the background.
Yeah, I'm trying to explain what we're doing.
So the
Wait,
the new entity is Westford,
Westford Auto Sales
Corp.
Corp.
We're transferring the license.
so we're transferring from the old entity to the new entity?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
And then the new entity, and the old entity will change the address to 147 Concord Road, which is another one of the addresses we have there.
We won't care about that. What we care is the license, so.
Okay, I just want to make sure we know exactly what we're approving. So do I understand correctly, exactly
I
what we're
think
approving?
I
Patty?
do. And actually, the reason why I'm questioning it is because they're technically not transferable, but at the same time, you're just changing names of
Right.
entities he's already got, so, yeah, my opinion, he's fine.
I'll
Okay.
move to approve.
And we did review this with town council as well.
And town council was okay?
Yes.
Okay, then I will definitely move to approve.
Second?
John seconded.
Okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
and
congrats on your semi-retirement.
Enjoy your golf game,
I
whatever
hope
you
so.
choose to do.
Thank you very much, I appreciate all your help.
Take care.
Our pleasure.
Next, we need to approve the application.
Have a good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Anybody needs any help on any cars, come down and see.
All right, I'll be down there. I look at some of those cars when I'm driving by sometimes.
Especially the classics, yeah.
And congrats for taking over. Good luck
I remember
as a new owner.
I do too. We've got 3 different locations with them. You guys take care of
Thank you.
Good night. See you.
Have a good night.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next item is to approve the application for a common victualer's license as presented for A3 Foods LLC, doing business as Cold Stone Creamery at 174 Wilton Road, Suite 24. And
Approve.
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye.
My kind of business.
Me too.
That's right.
My kids can't wait.
Are they still
Me
open?
too.
Maybe after the meeting, we'll go.
And next up, we have a joint meeting with the Westford Board of Library Trustees to appoint a new trustee until the May 6th, 2025 local election. I believe this has got much simpler because originally we had Mary Siegel and Ming Zhang, and I believe today Ming Zhang has withdrawn his name from the consideration, which means it's, I think, pretty simple, but if trustees want to call yourselves to order, and
I'm promoting a few to panelists, so just give me a moment.
Welcome.
All right, so online I see Glenn Secor, Caroline Roach, Marianne Seraphin, and Mary Cacciatore. I know they've been participants. They are also on.
okay. So I'll leave it to you, Christina, to fill
I'm
us in.
Christina Liedberg. I'm the Assistant Director at the J.B. Fletcher Library.
I'm Buffy Dierks. I'm the Secretary of the Library Trustees.
And we also have,
Yeah, I'm Deborah Teal. I'm the library trustee.
And
I'm Mary Siegel.
I was going to say, it's Mary here. I'm guessing process of elimination, that was you were Mary. So, I go, so I'm going to leave for nomination, we have one
I think
nomination.
Glenn, I think
Trustee
meeting to order.
oh,
Okay,
Glenn
thanks,
again,
Glenn.
Glenn?
Glenn would like to call the library meeting to order first.
Did you do a roll call with that, or? You can or not, but
Let me do the roll call so I make sure I do this right. So Dirks is here, Fleckner is not here, Roach,
Here.
Secor,
Here.
Teal.
Here.
So we have 4 people here.
okay, so typically we take nominations, we only have one person, so if you want to nominate Mary,
Would you like to hear from her first?
I would love to hear from her. Usually nominate
Usually
first
we
and
nominate
and then they speak, so,
And then they speak.
so if you,
Oh, okay, all right, I see what you mean. I move to nominate Mary Siegel for the vacant library trustee position that will be open until May 6th, 2025.
okay, thank you. No,
Should we
Mary?
get it seconded, or is
Oh,
that after we hear?
Actually, wait, sorry, yes, you do want to get a second.
So I'm Mary Siegel.
Actually, we did,
Stand up to the microphone.
was there a second?
A second.
Okay,
yes.
okay, very good.
The microphone. I'm Mary, and I'm a Westford resident since 2018. My daughter graduated WA last year, so I now have some time on my hands, which is what led me to, originally I asked Ellen about this a couple of years ago, and at that time there were no vacancies. I'm a 32-year career veteran of the publishing industry, and I started out, I have a BA in English and a master's in teaching, and I immediately went into publishing. I first worked for a children's publisher in Watertown called Charlesbridge, and then I moved into digital publishing, which is what I've been doing since 1998. I work for a company called Clarivate. It's an ed tech company. It's a subsidiary called ProQuest that is a big library vendor that might ring some bells. So I'm a content specialist there, and I sell library software and content, digital content, to academic and research libraries, colleges, and a couple of publics, New York Public and Boston Public. And so that's what I've been doing for pretty much my whole career. I'm a lifelong library advocate, grew up riding my bike in Norton to the library pretty much every single day of the summer. So I was really excited that the position came vacant when somebody retired or resigned and moved away. So that is what led me to this, seek this position.
Great, thank you for volunteering.
Great, thank you.
So Glenn, normally you would call your board for a vote, then we'll do our board for a vote. Which maybe Buffy raises the roll, but it's your call to call for the vote of your committee.
We need a second first.
Thought we did.
A second to the motion. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Debbie.
Debbie.
My apologies. So I
So all
will,
we need to do is vote then?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, just call for a vote, yep.
All right, so Buffy, do you want to
Yep,
call the roll?
yep. Dirk's aye. Fleckner is not here. Roach?
Aye.
Secor?
Aye.
Teal?
Aye.
So it passed 4-0-0.
And select board, John?
Aye.
Andrea? Chris?
I'm an aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
So we'll get you an appointment letter later this week, and then you can get sworn in at the town clerk's office and participate in the meeting, so congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And you can join the meetings on the new library construction, which we'll be discussing a little later.
I picked a good time.
Next, we have a joint meeting with the Ag Commission for an update on Drew Garden, sorry.
Actually,
Do you guys want to, do
trustees on the permanent
Oh,
town board.
you guys want to come, adjourn?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Thank
skipped
you.
one.
There's so many.
Sorry, I skipped one. A mistake. We have a joint meeting. After introducing it, I then skipped it. Joint meeting with the Board Library Trustees, Permanent Town Building Committee, for an update on the J.V. Fletcher Library expansion. I see Tom is here. Is anybody else from the?
Jean is on the Zoom.
Okay.
I don't see anyone else.
Okay, so there isn't a quorum of PTBC. I know Mike had it.
Sorry,
Mike-
Scott, do we need to adjourn our library trustees?
Nope.
No?
Nope,
Okay,
you're still
all
not- you're
right,
still-
all
you're still free.
right.
But Michael Padden had his child last Saturday, I believe, so congratulations, Mike. That's why he's not here. It's a good excuse to be absent as a new dad. So absent a quorum, I guess we'll
Okay.
just listen, but certainly Tom, you can chime in if you want to. Or Jean.
I think Christina, are you
I
gonna
can
read the
report.
discussion? 'Cause
Sure,
Ellen's not here?
absolutely.
Great.
So I wanted to report on the library construction program. I have a number of bullet points that I would just like to go over. The J.V. Fletcher Library renovation and addition building project is meeting the following project benchmarks. After 48 joint meetings and board and commission reviews, construction documents are completed at 100%. After working with a commissioning agent and using pre-qualification of bidders, bids are due to be advertised 1/29/25, so tomorrow, using bid docs with a 60-day due date of March 20th, 2025. The library building project continues to be projected below 25 EUI, anticipating mass save rebates, is fully accessible and code compliant with new stretch and plumbing codes, has a generator, doubles the current public meeting room space with improved technology, triples youth service space, increases study and collaborative workspaces, has a mother's comfort room, a neurodiversity corner, an adult-sized changing table. The past 3 cost reconciliations, with the most current being in mid-December 2024, show the construction costs are on budget. The impact of potential new tariffs has been added to the contingency budget. The Foundation Committee of the Friends of the J.V. Fletcher Library continues to receive pledges for naming opportunities and 1,000 homes for $1,000, offsetting the tax impact of the project. The lease for the temporary library site has been signed, and the moving and storage RFR is in draft. The second MPLCP grant disbursement of $1,570,399 is due upon MBLC approval of the 100% construction documents, which are due to be completed in early February, which is only next week, how did that happen? The third MPLCP grant disbursement of $1,570,399 is due upon signing of the construction contract with the contractor. Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners Consultant oversight, grant compliance, and regulatory statutes continue to be met. Construction phase to begin upon signing of construction contract and groundbreaking. Construction phase meetings, assignments, and schedule to be based upon the past best practices of the Permanent Town Building Committee.
Thank you. Any questions? And I'm sure John will raise his hand immediately.
Well, I asked for this update.
Right.
And I asked to get the update from the Permanent Town Building Committee. And the reason I asked for that is because according to the motion that we passed 2 years and 3 months ago, that the select board is responsible for the project, and that the Permanent Town Building Committee was supposed to have management and oversight of the project. And up to this date, I haven't seen the Permanent Town Building Committee in that position. So I want to know, and I'd like to know, how we're going to manage this construction project. Design is one thing, construction's another, and we need a very objective construction agent to instruct the owner, project manager, to, and who's going to deal with that? So I'm concerned about the management of the project. And I understand that there's that you want to take the design team and then going to move that in to do the construction. I do not think that that's consistent with what the town, the approved motion. I'm not sure that's consistent with the intent, or and I can. But anyway, I'm just. And we got that from General Counsel 2 years ago.
Right. So for the better part of 2 years now, we've had of those 48 meetings. I don't know how many of them actually were joint meetings of the Permanent Town Building Committee and library
joint,
trustees.
48.
48. That's so. The Permanent Town Building Committee has been very much involved. If you listen to all the meetings, John, you've heard, especially Mike Patton, our new chair, and Jean, a lot of input from expertise based upon Mike's on Hans' knowledge and Gene's architectural knowledge. So we are fulfilling the obligation of town meeting.
I respectfully disagree, Mr.
What are you
Chairman.
looking for?
Okay, I'm looking for this. It's, according to the town council, it says that the appropriated funds would be spent by the select board in consultation with the Board of Library Trustees, with management oversight by the permanent town building committee, and to authorize the select board to execute all documents. And I contend that having two members of the permanent town building committee and another committee that has 4 library personnel in it is not management and oversight.
But-
And I don't think, what I'm looking for is, I'm used to, you do construction, and I think that you need an objective committee to management. That's what the permanent town building committee exists for. They did the firehouse, and the interpretation from town council 2 years ago was management and project oversight by the permanent town building committee. So the permanent town building committee in its entirety, with consultation with the library, would be the appropriate way to manage this construction project.
And it is.
And
I mean,
the joint meetings, let me ask
the-
you, the joint meetings that you've been having, is that the joint meetings between the entire permanent town building committee and the library trustees?
Yes.
So they have.
It
the
had 2
entire-
members, well, the
Well, no,
members
you-
of the
you-
committee.
That's the library working
You're
group.
confusing the working group with the actual project oversight. And the working group is really an advisory committee. It serves at the will of the town manager to, through the bidding process, to facilitate the project. But all decisions are made by a joint vote of the library trustees, who are, as their building, and the town building committee.
The library working group only makes recommendations to the permanent town building committee and the library board of trustees. And there will be a construction committee formed, once we get our bids back and a contractor is picked. And I believe what we've discussed is there'll be members of the permanent town building committee, Ellen, the library a member of the library trustees, probably a member from our OPM's office.
Facilities manager, facilities director.
But they're not signing any documents
no.
or making any
In
decisions.
fact,
They're,
even
again,
now, when we
Weekly
have
construction, yeah.
all the warrants that we sign to be paid, I signed them as acting chair, and now Mike is signing them as chair. So that those are all being approved by the Town Building Committee.
Okay, the other question I asked, one of the specific questions I had was, who gives direction to the owner, manager? Who gives direction to?
the OPM, the owner's
PM,
project manager.
The Permanent Town Building
Permanent
Committee.
Town Building Committee.
Okay.
And I mean, and Jean, you can speak out, but Jean's been incredibly involved in this process. Actually, back in the original library design, before we get the money, she was involved in it. And she's been very much a part of these discussions, down to the level of looking at the woodworking paneling on the circulation desk. So the lighting, everything about this, the vegetation in front of it, have all been done with the Permanent Town Building Committee.
Okay.
You don't look happy.
Oh,
You
I
look
did
convinced.
ask that you would ask the the town council to look at this and have his opinion on whether or not we're in compliance with the motion at town meeting.
We
And that
can-
has not,
I can check again. We did review that with him several months ago when there was questions that came up, but I can, if it's the pleasure of the board, I'm happy to reaffirm that with the council.
I think if John has a concern, it's worth asking for confirmation.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Anything else?
no, that's it.
I just wanted to, that aside, it's really good news that we are,
It's great news.
we're coming in, I mean, until we get bids in hand, we can't, count our chickens, but certainly, every piece of due diligence done so far so that we're on budget, so that's, I don't know, the environment we're working under, that's pretty incredible, so.
And we're getting closer and closer, so,
It's really exciting. Really exciting to go out
Yes.
to bid. It's like, it's really gonna happen.
yes.
Okay,
Thank
thanks. So if you want to adjourn your committee, Glenn, you can do so. Or you can stay here if you want in session, but I'm sure you have better things to do.
Okay, I think we'll just skip the motion and move right to adjournment.
So I'll take
Right? Is that what we're doing?
our attendance, or our vote to adjourn then, Glenn?
Yes, vote to adjourn.
Okay, Dirk's aye, Fleckner not here, Roach? Secor?
Aye.
Teal? Aye. 400 of the trustees. And Jean?
Actually, the town, there's no quorum for
They don't have
town
a
building committee, so
Yeah.
we don't need to.
Okay,
So
all
I
right.
think you're all set.
Good. So thank you.
so
Thank
much,
you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your assistance.
Once again, Mary, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, John, for the question.
Oh, you're doing great on time. Yes. Nice work.
And next, we get a chance to clear the room, but we have a joint meeting with the Ag Commission for update on the Drew Gardens, other matters. I'm not sure if you have a quorum, but out of abundance of caution, Mark, we did. I don't know if you have a quorum of your board tonight. We called it. We posted out of abundance of caution, but if you, I don't know who's online from the Ag Commission, if anybody.
I'm not sure if anyone is.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't interpret it that way.
Well, this is just in case. It's a precaution that if you do get a quorum and you talk, we're on abeyance with open meeting law. But if there's no quorum, that's fine. So
So I would guess there's no quorum, so our apologies.
Early, Mr. Chair, or you want to
Yeah, it's not a public hearing.
it's not a public hearing, it's a joint meeting.
check?
And we're only 2 minutes early, so I think we're okay. So yes, Mark, tell us who you are and
Great, thank you. Hi, good to see everybody. My name is Mark O'Leylor. I live at 105 Concord Road, and I'm the chair of the Agricultural Commission, and I speak tonight on behalf of the Agricultural Commission, so thank you very much for your time.
Welcome.
Nice to be here. I think coming tonight, I was thinking about it because, as you know, we've had many fits and starts in terms of coming together and talking about 68 Boston Road. And it's really a celebratory time, I think. I think the fact that there is activity on the land, and it started roughly in August, as I'm sure you're aware. I think the start of agricultural activity there also has been, best categorized as in fits and starts. And to put it all in perspective, 25 years ago, the town purchased the agricultural preservation restriction. It was April of 1999. So the town has owned it for 25 years, and the select board, respective select boards over that duration of time has administered the APR. So you're in good company, all of you, so thank you. So the last couple of years, as you're aware, or I'll refresh your memory, there's been many motions to encourage Mr. Masaladin to resume activity in agriculture on that property. Once again, to put it in perspective, Mr. Masaladin purchased, along with the Goddard Family Trust, that property governed by the APR in 2015. It's a long history. I'm not going to go through it all. I'm sure you're familiar with the main large parts of it. So since 2015 until August, there hasn't been a lot of agricultural activity. So we're thrilled. We think it's a great time to celebrate and applaud Mr. Masaladin for moving forward. Having said that, like with anything, there are some concerns that we have going forward, especially since the agricultural activity the agricultural season really wasn't in full gear for 2024, like we had all hoped. Just to refresh your memory again, the town meeting in March of 2023 passed Article 23, encouraging the select board to enforce the APR, which in turn was just to get some agricultural activities started. So I think it played its role. It had its its purpose, and we're glad that whatever impact it had, it's borne fruit. That is a pun for an agricultural reference. I'm sorry. Okay, so let me get back. So anyway, so we're excited, and we thank you for your role in all of that. We have been somewhat confused, but we're not lawyers, when we look at how Town Council Corbo interpreted Article 23, which is basically seen by Town Council as just the general will of the town. So there's apparently no authority that you really have to force agricultural activity. And then that was also shown in the, I think it was October of 23, the legal analysis by Mr. Masaladin's counsel, Smolik and Vaughn. They also cited different law stating that there's very little power to enforce or to make him answer any questions that are above just general following different agencies, whether it be animal welfare or general agricultural activities. So that was enlightening. So we're glad that we're clear with that. So there's.
Well, if I can interrupt, I mean, so yes, in its infinite wisdom, the legislature gave us responsibilities under APRs with very little enforcement mechanism.
Right.
However, animal welfare is a different story. Animal welfare laws, those can be enforced apart from the APR. So he can't abuse, he's not, but, the implication would be we can't enforce animal welfare laws. The town could do that if it had to.
Right, yeah, the different agencies, I think, public health, animal welfare, and I'm not sure what, under agriculture, what kind of influence. I know the APR does stipulate that there should be some kind of soil analysis done on a regular basis in keeping with the USDA soil requirements, but even that, I think, is something we hope that he might take interest in. So our approach all along is that, friendly neighborhood soft power has maybe more power than any other kind of power. So I have a good rapport with Mr. Masaladin, and so I plan to reach out to him prior to the beginning of the next agricultural season, growing season, and in particular because ever since activity resumed in August, we started to hear some neighbors' complaints, and I've shared some of those with some of you on the select board. And so it's most of the complaints came from people. My orientation is not quite certain which direction that is. Must be southwest.
Town center is north, so.
Yeah, so it must be southwest. So the community in the woods community.
Cottage in the woods. Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Cottage in the woods.
I'm sorry. Cottage in the woods. Community.
Joe's Way.
Joe's Way, et cetera. Yes. So we had two people reach out to us, and my response to both was to keep a log of your concerns when the odor is very bad, and any other things that you notice that you feel like it should be brought to the attention of the select board and through the agricultural commission. So people have reached out to us, two people in particular, and some of the language was very strong in terms of their feeling that there are others who are afraid to speak out about the severity of the odor. A lot of them made reference to how they love farms, but they were concerned with the way the management of the waste was being done, whether it was proper or not. So I have no idea, and I know you have no idea. That's not information that he's readily sharing what mechanism he's using. And I do have a question I'm going to ask him when I reach out to him, because it seems to me that the pile of manure was greater than anything that could be created by those 3 or 4 belted cows. So I wonder if he's bringing manure onto the property, which is fine for an agricultural use, creating compost or amending the soil in some way, helping the other parts of the property benefit with added nutrients perhaps. But it does, once again, potentially bring problems down the road if large numbers of people, as some people stated in their emails to me, can't let their kids play outside and shoot basketballs because right across the street there's a pile of manure that's, so pungent that they have to go back inside. I didn't present this ahead of time. I'll just give this. I redacted their names, and it was a concern to me that these individuals felt, it sounded like they were afraid, and that didn't sound right to me, that they should feel afraid to just speak their mind about what they've experienced in 2024 in Westford, Massachusetts. But that is the case. So I've redacted their names, and I'll pass this on for you all to take a look at. You can see their words in true form. So aside from those two individual concerns that we received from the cottages in the Woods community, we also had a visit in December from a couple from the Crown Court side of the property, and they had absolutely no concerns whatsoever of smell. I don't know if it's they're upwind of the smell, but it was they came in person, so I can publicly state their names, I believe, Jeff and Marion Morgenstern, and they were just wondering what is going on. And we didn't have any answers for them at the time, because the questionnaire that was sent out to Mr. Masaladan, as you're aware, was thought to be too intrusive. But they were very friendly. Apparently they had a good relationship with Keith Boney, and they would just walk over and say, hey, my daughter has allergies, and is it okay, whatever pesticides you're using? And Keith would say, hey, sure, let me show you what I'm using. And they'd walk around the barn. So they felt like they didn't feel as comfortable doing that, just walking over. So, as we go into the full-blown agricultural season of 2025, we just want to be aware of potential problems that neighbors might ask about, and hopefully I'll be able to mediate those with just talking to Mr. Masaladan about how best to go forward. So I just want to let you all be aware of that. There is one other a group of stakeholders that were really concerned about the ability of Mr. Masaladan under the Conservation Commission jurisdiction to locate the fence in the wetland buffer zone. To be honest with you, I don't know what the finding was, if Mr. Masaladan was granted that fencing approval. But a lot of the abutters who are familiar with what happens on very rainy periods of time when the water level actually rises up way beyond the buffer zone. So it's not too far off from where those manure piles are. And of course, there's a giant wetland and a stream that runs further east. So anyway, just wanted to bring you aware of some of the concerns that we'll be monitoring and watching, and hopefully, preventing from getting out of hand or mitigating when it does occur. And that's the end of my remarks, and I thank you for your time.
Thanks for that. So, I just wanted to observe a couple things. One is, the Conservation Commission is very effective at what they do. Mm-hmm. So if there are concerns to part of abutters, taking them to you is fine, us is fine, but in the end, this can refer to Matt Salem and Conscom, because they can take action that, we can't. That's not our purview.
Right.
And secondly, if I see, there is no slaughterhouse there. There is some indications
Exactly.
that people,
Yes.
there is no slaughterhouse there.
Right.
But if there are odors, again, going to you is fine, but that's a Board of Health issue. They have enforcement. If it were truly a health issue, they could enforce it. I can't judge what is a health issue. Right. Ray Dick and her team can. So, again, it's a whole town operation. So
Sure.
as these things come in, and if it's a manure pile, it could be that it smells really bad today, and it does tend to
Right.
crust over and take care of itself with time. So it's important to get that complaint in timely, so that when they go there, it's still active, as it were. So I do want to be sensitive, but also the fact that these two areas are expertise, not with this board, but with other town
Right.
commissions.
I will say, just in fairness to the concerns of some of the people, they went online. It sounds like these people have not lived here very long, so they're not aware of all the political machinations that have taken place since the restaurant was denied on that property. So what they have discovered is that there were some statements made about intentions going forward if the restaurant did not get approved. And one of them was bringing in livestock, having burn piles, and, smoking out the neighborhoods. So there has been these statements that were made. It's on, WestCAT. It's been videotaped of statements being made. So there is a little paranoia going on out there. So I'd like to try to get ahead of the game so people aren't worried that there's some nefarious forces here. But it's not a total figment of their imagination. There is some
No, but,
truth
I mean-
in what was stated in the past, and so they're
Yeah,
and they're new to this, so they're responding, I think, in their concern.
No, I agree. Public statements that are made by anybody are public
Exactly.
record.
Right.
However, in the end, it comes down to actions, and
Right.
we enforce against actions. So if there is issue of encroachment on conservation land or obscene odors, then
Right.
that belongs with Conscom or Board of Health, and we'll take action. But I would not, necessarily infer that because he says something in public, he would actually would do that. That
Right, well, yes, so,
We all say things we might regret if we had a cooler head someday, so.
right.
John?
Yeah, that manure pile you're talking about, where is that located? I don't think I've noticed that.
So it's changed now, and I don't think I've seen anything recently, but the Peace Trail? It was
Yeah.
right adjacent to the Peace Trail, which is
Okay,
right
that's-
along Boston Road, so pretty close to the road, and which would be as close as possible to the Cottage in the Woods community. So when I saw it, and this would, when it was new, because the animals came, it seemed like they were here, but they weren't for a while. We weren't sure. You'd see a couple in the field, and then you wouldn't see them for,
I've only seen 3 of them, I think.
yeah,
Over the-
there's not that many, so that's why I wonder, when I actually, I'm a homesteader, and anyway, I'm pretty sure there was a very large manure pile at one point, and that I was surprised because there's only 3 tops at the time, cows on the property.
Yeah, I think that's probably a public health issue, as you said, Mr. Chairman, but the Conservation Commission, it looks like they've staked out an area, they're doing some work down there, and they've got the fences there for them to runoff, protect against runoff. They're doing some work in those other 2 parcels down there.
Yeah, there were.
It looks like they're skirting the wetlands, and so they have to be on some kind of order from the Conservation Commission, I would imagine. And
Thank you
I
for
doubt
reminding me,
that
yeah,
the
there was discussion of a berm
Yeah,
created
well,
to
and
slow the
plastic.
migration. Yep,
Right.
thank you.
And I'm not sure that they're that concerned about the odor, but I think that's a health issue, so.
Anything else from the board? Okay, so, hopefully it answers your questions.
Oh, yes, no, it was great to just sit down and get back up to speed about everything, and
And while you're here, Ag Commission, when do we see applications for the community garden opening up? To get some good news and think about sunshine.
yeah, so the January meeting, it must have already happened. Unfortunately, I have such a large personal garden that I don't have a space down at the garden, so I'm out of the loop of all that timing. But I already started my celery. But yeah, no, applications go out. And last year, just to update you, everything has been moved online. Town accountant Jesse Bayer was a lot of help working with our community garden liaison to set up a system that was so much easier than dropping off checks and going to the mailbox at town hall and picking them up. And so now it's all done electronically, and it saved people lots of personal time. So thanks to Jesse and and Darren Tessadu, another member of the AgCom, who worked hard getting that up and running, so that was.
You've got two customers on the board, so.
Oh, that's right, yeah, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
It's good.
Do you have a question?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I should ask for audience comment. Yes, yeah, oh, yes, please.
Yeah.
I think I know most of you. I'm Tom Barry, 27 Stone Ridge Road. And as you probably know, I was heavily involved with the Drew Farms restaurant back in 2015, 17, and finally in 19, which was a disaster at town meeting. Ebby Masaladin, I haven't seen him for a long time, but I know that back in those days, he put a ton of money into that restaurant, into architectural plans, engineering, electrical, he put a lot of money into that. He thought he had an agreement with the town, totally different board back then. But he spent a lot of money trying to put that together. Each time it went to town meeting, it got shot down. The last time, we didn't even get to make a presentation. And for the rest of my life, I will never forget that. They shut it down before, we had spent 6 months on a presentation. They shut it down before we could even get to the microphone. I guess my comment is, when I saw the letter from Mark, I should say from the residents through Mark, I was really disappointed that they're already talking about the overpowering odor that forced young children back indoors. There are 3 cows on that land. I mean, I go by there a lot. I see the 3 cows. To be honest, I have not noticed the manure pile. But I believe there's going to be a lot more cows, chickens, and pigs. So if there is a problem now, what's going to happen next summer or the year after when the agricultural business really starts moving? After those 3 town meetings, I was going to say the residents, but the town meeting members, through the residents, shot it down. And then I've been to several select board meetings where they have demanded that Mr. Masaladin do something agricultural-wise on the land. Finally, I'll be honest, he just gave up. And he said, okay, if that's what they want, that's what I will do. So he's now moving forward with agricultural uses on the land. And I remember one night he was here, probably a year or so ago, telling you how many cows he was going to have and how many chickens, and I forget those numbers, but it was certainly more than 3 cows. And I guess my only comment is they demanded that he use it for agricultural purposes. And there's that old saying, be careful what you ask for because you might get it. And I think it's on the way. If they think the odor is bad today, once he finishes building out that farm, whatever he's going to do, however many cows, chickens, and pigs, I think it's going to be a lot worse. I, for one, probably many of you, have gone through areas where there are pig farms. I lived in New Jersey, and every day on my way to work, 2 miles before the pig farm and 2 miles after, there was a horrendous odor.
Okay, well, I mean, but the town can regulate the number of pigs, so before we alarm the community about a pig farm, the town, Board of Health does have control. I believe it's 8 pigs maximum, maybe it's 9.
It's between 8 and 10, I don't remember off the top of
So
my
yeah,
head.
it won't be a pure pig farm, it would be a limited number unless he has town.
A mixture, sure. But my point is that I think the odor is going to increase once there's more than 3 cows. So if the neighbors, or the residents, the town people are upset now that there's an odor, they need to get on board with the odor. And I don't know how you control, I don't think you can control it, to be honest.
Well, that's where, where the Board of Health comes in and says, is this permissible or not by state standards? And
Sure.
do we act or not? But, we're not going to, I don't want to get into a hypothesis of what
Right.
may be a problem in 3 or 4 months.
If I may, not to drag this out further, but Mr. Barry, so Mr. Masaladin purchased that land for $650,000, I think, which is very cheap for land.
Absolutely.
But it's agricultural land. And and under agricultural law and land that the town purchased to put in perpetuity as agriculture, he was mandated to do something, and he basically didn't do anything for 9 years.
Okay, well, I don't want to litigate this now.
So-
It's a report from you.
purview is-
Yeah,
Sure.
we're-
Yeah, I'm not fighting for a restaurant at this
Right.
point.
Right.
I've done that.
And then he spent a lot of money. I had this conversation with him myself. He spent a lot of money, and he was mad at Jody Ross, and he's mad at the select board. And I said, why don't you be mad at your lawyers for encouraging you to go forward with this? Because it didn't seem to me, and I'm not a lawyer, that you had a legal leg to stand on, because the town had the town meeting had the last vote.
Absolutely.
Select board couldn't
Absolutely.
give him or anoint him or stamp
Yep.
the approval. So he decided to listen to his attorneys, and he went forward and spent a lot of money. That's not Jody's fault or the select board's fault.
That's
That
all,
was his
that's
decision.
all water under the dam.
Yeah.
But my
So,
only
okay,
point
I
tonight is,
think we're done.
Yes.
my only point is, they've demanded that he use it as agricultural. He
Not
said,
they-
okay,
not
that's
they,
what I
it's in
will
the
do.
law. No one's demanding,
Okay.
it's in the
Okay,
law.
we're done.
Oh, one last thing. There's a lot of ways to raise animals, and what he's doing is called a CAFO. It's a concentrated animal feed operation, a CAFO. You don't have to raise animals. You could have pasture, and it would the smell would reduce by like 80%. I've talked to him about this. I encouraged him to look at the Codman Farm operation in Lincoln. It's unbelievable the number of animals they run on a rotating pastured schedule. You don't smell anything, and it's gorgeous and it's healthy. So he's decided to go this route. He doesn't have a lot of experience in agriculture, I don't think. So we've been trying to help him, and unfortunately, he's not interested in getting help. So we'll do what we can and encourage him to plant perennial pasture, and the smell will be reduced dramatically. It'll also save the wetlands from the damage of excess nitrogen runoff and the streams in Westford. So there's ways of managing animals properly, and hopefully it'll get better. I don't want to look negatively and say it's going to get worse. I'm hoping it's going to get better. So thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Tom, thanks.
Next, we need
Thank
to.
you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Next, we need to review and accept the Town of Westford strategic plan. So, Kristen, you're on deck.
Thank you.
Actually, you're at the bat.
That, okay. Hopefully we hit a home run here with you. So first of all, I'd just like to congratulate the Select Board. We have this evening your 5-year strategic plan that we've spent a year creating with your board, with various boards and committee chairs, with members of the public, town staff, and our consultant, Raf Tellis. And this evening, I'd just like to give a brief presentation of the strategic planning process, the outcome areas, and how we plan to use this tool moving forward to continue to listen to our community members, plan accordingly, and make sure that Westford is a thriving community that we all know and love. So, Mike, thank you for driving the slides. So this evening, we'll talk about why create a strategic plan. Some members of the audience may know what strategic planning is. Some may be the first time. I want to really talk about the public outreach that we did and the feedback we received from the community, setting the stage for then creating the strategic plan framework, our strategic outcome areas that we created and then checked in with the community on, and then again the next steps. And I will note we had a fantastic artist with Raf Tellis. Her name is Julie, and she created the graphic that you see on the right with our tagline, "Thriving Together, Honoring Traditions, Growing Towards a Sustainable Future." And if you look at it closely, that is the town of Westford. In the middle is the town center. You'll see 495 and Route 3. You'll see several of our ponds and streams and the agricultural nature. So I've seen Julie's work a lot, and I love it. And this is great for Westford. So Mike, next slide, please. So why should we create a strategic plan as a town of Westford? We wanted to move a process to create a vision for the town and a roadmap for achieving long-term success. We wanted to identify a clear strategic direction that is important as it serves as the guiding framework for aligning our efforts and resources, so efforts being staff and board and committee and volunteer capacity, resources being financial and other types of resources, with the long-term goals of the community. A well-defined strategic plan provides clarity not only to the boards and committees, but to the residents and to the staff, and purpose among our team members. And it creates a shared vision between the community and town staff, which aligns to our organizational efforts. Through the strategic planning process, the town is now positioned to address current challenges, seize emerging opportunities, and build on a sustainable future for us all. So we started the process obtaining public feedback of what do we know to be true about Westford today. The consultant met individually with all 5 board members. We had a focus group with board and committee chairs. We did an online community survey with over 800 responses, and that survey was reported on out to the select board. We held workshops with town leadership and select board members. And then we also had an online survey distributed to town staff. It's really also important to get town staff input on how they do their work, what they like about their work, and how they serve the community. We had over 132 responses of about 210 town staff, so I think that's a pretty good response. We also had additional public outreach when we had established the outcome areas as a draft. We had an additional survey through Zen City with over 625 responses. We held 10 in-person engagements around the community, one of which was at the farmers market. That's Nicole Laviolette, our community wellness coordinator. And then we also had a dedicated strategic plan website through the town, which is still operational today. Through all of this work, we created the strategic framework. The select board, with all of the feedback received, created a vision for the town. Westford strives to be a welcoming and inclusive community that honors its history and traditions. We are driven towards innovation and progress, balancing growth with preservation and a commitment to creating a sustainable future. The town staff, through leadership, created the mission and values, that we are a team of dedicated professionals that take pride in fostering a vibrant community by delivering excellent public service. And our values are professionalism, dedication, collaboration, accountability, and service-oriented. And I'll just note that's the snapshot in time that we collected the feedback, and those are our vision, mission, and values of today. We want to lead by those today. It's not to say that those might change over time as our community evolves. With that, we developed the strategic framework. Our staff members set with the select board to do those and to come up with key performance indicators for each outcome. And these strategies set organizational priorities for advancing progress across each of those strategic outcome areas. And as you'll see in future slides, we have that comprehensive framework moving forward to set our goals and our performance metrics. So our 7 strategic outcome areas are responsive and responsible town government, caring and engaged community, opportunities for recreation and preservation of open space, quality educational opportunities, commitment to environmental sustainability and climate action, diverse and attainable housing options, and intentional appropriate economic growth. I will just make 2 comments on this slide. One, there is no order, so one area is not preferential over the other. Also, when we put out the strategic outcome areas to the public, there was actually 6. We combined recreation and preservation of open space with commitment to environmental sustainability and climate action. And we heard loud and clear from our community that those should be separate. So the select board determined that they would consider those as separate strategic outcome areas, as you'll see on future slides. So the 7 slides that will be before you next are those strategic outcome areas and then our success statements. What do we need to do in the future, or what do we know that we need to do to make sure that we are a responsive and responsible town government? I don't want to go through reading all of these out loud because I'll be here all evening, but each of these slides has that outcome area. I will just read the first one so people get familiar with it, and then we'll go through the others very quickly. So to be a responsive and responsible town government, our municipal services are delivered by dedicated professional staff who are responsible stewards of town resources and responsive to community concerns. Our core services are prioritized and balanced against other community demands. Over the next 1 to 3 years, our strategies to accomplish that would be to prioritize town and school needs for capital planning while considering limited resources and space needs, to develop and retain our employees, and to establish a framework for identifying and prioritizing core services. To measure some of those strategies and to measure other things that are associated with that, we would have the percentage of capital projects completed on time, an average time to complete maintenance requests, annual retention rates, operating budget to actual variance, percentage of community survey respondents who are satisfied with the statement overall quality of services, and a percentage reduction in storage space. So we can certainly get into those conversations of details. We're not gonna measure everything. There's not gonna be adequate staff capacity to do all of that, but this is where we want to aim moving forward. So Mike, we'll go through, each of these outcome areas has its own strategy. We'll just pause briefly on each of them and then move ahead. So caring and engaged community, opportunities for recreation and preservation of open space, quality educational opportunities. One thing I'll note on this slide is that includes our entire community. It's not just the pre-K through 12. It includes our newborn children all the way up into our oldest resident. How can we provide quality educational opportunities for all of our residents? Commitment to environmental sustainability and climate action. Diverse and attainable housing options. And intentional and appropriate economic growth. So next steps. First, I want to draw your attention to your setting here. This is still a draft document. I just received it from Raftellus this afternoon, so it's not uploaded to the packet. But this is our strategic plan. It runs through all of the areas that I talked about in advance. It has a little bit of a history of the town. It has a message from me as the town manager. It lays out the outreach process that we went through to create our strategic plan. And then on the last page, it has our framework, our vision, mission, and values, our outcome areas, our strategies, our key performance indicators. And from this document, we as staff are going to build out the work plans of how we accomplish each of the strategies and how we measure each of the key performance indicators. So with that, Mike has already built out a portion of one. Through our strategic planning work and with the assistance of our regional planning agency, NIMCOG, we had special strategy sessions related to climate action and sustainability because we were struggling in that area of who does what, who is responsible for what. And NIMCOG really helped us build out that strategy area as well as the KPIs. And Mike, I will have you show your screen of where we would move to from there.
Can I ask one question before that? So,
Absolutely.
So some of these KPIs, so for example, average number of board and committee memberships, if that's a KPI that implies there's some target number, and I'm sure that or percent of land dedicated in preserved open space, it can't be 100. Can't be, so I guess at some point, is there a target for these KPIs?
We would be setting those targets up, correct. So we have some guidance from the consultant, but we do need to set up those KPIs. Do we want our boards and committees to be 100% staffed at all, or 100% occupied at all time by members? Do we think a 90% rate is a success rate? So we will be building out those KPIs. Do we think that owning or controlling 60% of our land area is success related to open space? And that's exorbitant, but just putting it out there. So we will be building those types of things out.
Meaning that you're coming back to this board with recommendations on these specific KPIs with how you're going to set
We'd be
levels?
checking in, correct, yes. And if you'd rather us do that as staff, we're happy to do that too. So the board can decide upon that.
No, it just seems something like the land dedicated open space should be actually many board decisions, select board being one of them,
Right,
the cons
and
comment. So,
Concom,
yeah.
right.
So it just seems like, I'm glad it's a KPI, but at some point you have to have a metric to hit
Yes.
against, and that needs to be discussed.
Decided
Okay,
upon,
okay.
yep. So Mike, why don't you go through commitment to environmental sustainability and climate action so the board has, and the members of the public have a sense of where we're moving.
Yeah, so
to these.
Kristen had mentioned we're going to be working with staff, we'll be working with the different boards and committees in the different areas. We had that opportunity to do it much more in depth with Clean Energy and Sustainability Committee. Mike's here this evening. This one we built out really through a workshop with a few board members and a few people from CASC and staff to kind of talk through everything. What we came out with was an implementation table from NIMCOG's work that basically captured everything that we went through during that workshop, and we're just now in the process of kind of pushing this into a workbook that we can implement off of, but to give just a little bit of detail, these essentially will be the framework for some frequency of reporting back to the board and to the different, let me blow that up.
I was gonna say, I have no idea what that says.
So these will essentially be the foundation for the quarterly reporting that we'll be doing on the achievement of the different strategies and the KPIs. So just to kind of give you, you'll see essentially the same thing for each outcome area, and then the specific strategies that we're going to land on that you see in the document that Kristen shared, and in the case of the sustainability ones, those are the 4 key strategies that we're going to be focused on over the next couple of years. So with each one of these, we will have updates that will have responsibility assigned, we'll have timeframes assigned, we will have specific action items associated with each one, and those will be the things that we update you on. Let me pull that up just a little bit. So, for example, on the solar piece, one of the key strategies was the need to develop a draft solar siting plan. That is something that we're beginning to work on now. We're looking at some of our different pathways that we might be able to do this. We'll be reporting not only to the board on this, but also to Clean Energy and working with them on this. To give you another one, this one's a little bit more built out because we've made a lot more progress on this just in the last several months, but around the town and school building energy efficiency projects. So again, we've got very specific action items. They're going to be bound by a certain time, and we're going to be giving quarterly updates on where we are with each one of these. All of these ultimately are going to feed into our KPIs. And the KPIs in these cases, we've identified for this particular outcome area, renewable energy generation, EIU intensity reductions over time, increase in annual fleet clean energy use, and reduction on trash tons per household and amount of waste diverted. So we're still building all that stuff out, but this is all data we're capturing now. We haven't done a great job of reporting it out, so we're going to be using this to tie into the individual outcome areas. So we'll end up having this kind of a setup with each outcome area over the next, hopefully 6 months to a year, to give you an idea just on some of the different data pieces that we've got out there. We're still working on how we're going to incorporate all these things in there, but we want to make sure people know the things that we're doing. So looking at all our specific projects that we have out there, looking at a variety of graphs, looking at trends over time, but basically, eventually you'll have years worth of information, worth of quarterly updates in here, and we'll know exactly where we're getting on achieving all of these outcome areas. So again, all of this is in a draft right now. We're just now starting to build it out. I did want to share that this is actually, we're going somewhere with this. Any questions just off what I've shown?
I think you had, yes, Tom has a question.
Which is more of a comment. So I think this is directionally great. And so, like at some future meeting, if we can say, over the next 12 months, we're here and we expect to get here, then we can come back and measure against it. That'd be great. So it looks like you're developing kind of the controls under the hood to be able to do that. So that,
and it's ugly right now, but it'll get there. We got to figure out how exactly it looks, and we've got so much information out there. How do we get it in a consumable form and distill it down?
And I guess realistically, you've got to do this times 7. So
Right.
That's why I said a year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to take some time.
But we're going to do bits and pieces. We're not going to focus on just one strategic outcome area. We're going to take bits and pieces from each outcome area and build this out over time and report back to the board and to the public. We think it's important that we continue to update the strategic planning website so the public can see that their input that they provided over the past year is going into the work that we're doing on an everyday basis, and then reporting that back out to the various boards and committees as well.
We're keeping this just in Excel right now. I think eventually, the idea would be to have this in more of a dashboard, kind of an outward and an inward facing device, something that we can use to collect information from staff, we can automate as much as possible, and then push the key stuff out to the public. But, you know, really with the goal of ultimately being able to tie everything to those strategic outcome areas. It's gonna be a process.
Just very briefly, so some of these objectives are very Westford specific, like what's the balance between green space and development, and what are our goals for economic development? It's like a Westford strategy choice. But a lot of these things, I think also could benefit from some sort of benchmarking. So I don't think it's for this meeting, but like this looks very interesting, and this might be what excellence looks like for municipalities planning on clean energy, for example, target setting. But it just would be helpful to, at some point, get a perspective of, like, as a process, is this sort of best in class? Like, have we reached what excellence looks like? Or, you know, or are there still things to learn, or is nobody really doing this, so we're kind of breaking some new ground? And so that's something I don't have a perspective of.
Well, that's a really good point, and I think I would like to do the National Community Survey, which is a more statistically valid survey in the future that will help us measure, you know, are we continuing to be a safe community like our community values? Are we continuing to have quality education? That will help us on our benchmark communities, but also we can look to other items, as you said, to benchmark ourselves to make sure we're doing the good work that we should be doing. And where are we failing or falling behind, and how can we then change and make sure we're not falling behind?
And there's gonna be there's some available benchmarks now, like the data that I had selected for the climate outcome area. Most of that is pulling from state databases, so it's pulling from Mass Energy Insights. So we'll be able to immediately kind of compare us to other communities. We'll be able to select which communities we compare to. Same thing on you know, the trash and recycling stuff. Those are things that we can benchmark now. Some of the other ones are going to require some more tools like citizen surveys, things like that. But certain things we'll be able to benchmark pretty quick. And where we find those, we're going to plug them in there.
So when you say, you know, tonight, vote to accept, what are we accepting? The 7 discrete areas with benchmarks, you know, to be determined? I mean, we're blessing a framework that will be built out over another year.
Correct. So you're blessing the framework of the 7 strategic outcome areas, the strategies that we'll be working on in the next 1 to 3 years, and then the key performance indicators. And then we'll be building out those dashboards over the next year to provide progress. We'll be using these, and you may have seen it in the budget documents that we've already started to go through with the Finance Committee. Some of our department heads are referring to these strategies and why they're requesting funds for certain items. So we use those draft strategies because the board had not accepted the strategic plan yet, but we're getting those departments familiar with the strategies and how to move forward with them in order to budget appropriately as well.
Because I look at, like, one of the KPIs is actually it's not percentage, it's the number of people on town committees, which to me is not a great metric. The better one is what you meant, is just the percentage of active members. So I kind of feel like we're.
Could I suggest that we vote on the framework and the strategies, which I think are in good shape? And because I also don't really understand what some of the KPIs are. And so maybe another round of, I mean, will you have enough to work with for your purposes if we do the framework and the strategies tonight?
So the consultant is looking to wrap up their work, as they've been with us for a year. We've worked through these KPIs with the department heads who are comfortable with them. If there's any that you're not comfortable with, we're happy to take that over the next week and review that with the consultant and update it. Ultimately, we have these are going to be going out to print, so we can give them out to the community members. We can have it on our website. We would like to include the KPIs in the document. If you don't feel comfortable with that tonight, we can certainly have further conversations. Also, this will be a living and breathing document that we will be changing and adjusting over time. So again, if there's something that you're not comfortable with this evening, we want to make sure that you are comfortable. We either take it out or we adjust it, but we will be moving forward.
So I guess I mean, you haven't looked at this yet. The strategic plan, you guys said you just got it this afternoon.
Well, I've reviewed 3 draft versions, so this is the version that I have approved to go to the board for your review for document purposes. But the strategies and the outcome areas I don't believe will change, but
No, I agree, and I guess my comment was following up on Tom's is I'm perfectly comfortable with the strategies and the framework. Before I approve this final document, I'd like the opportunity to read it.
Absolutely.
So,
Too much.
so if we could hold on approving this as a draft that's
Sure.
going to, be published,
Yes.
I think that we should, because I think all the board members would like to read it to make sure that we're comfortable with it.
Absolutely.
But if for tonight, you're sort of just looking for, approval of the, framework and the strategies, at least I, for one, am comfortable doing that, and then hold off until our next meeting to finish this process.
So do you make that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Did you get that, Patty?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further
Well, I'm
discussion?
sorry, I did not get, what is the
So
motion?
basically,
We're just saying,
we are-
yes to the strategies, yes to the general,
The seven-
The seven pillars.
The
yes.
seven pillars and the,
Seven pillars.
and the strategies.
Right, but we're holding off on the document as a whole, and particularly, I would like to see some continued scrutiny of these KPIs.
Yes.
Is my,
So, right,
That's
so
what
all
we're
we're
all saying.
approving is these.
I'm okay with that, okay, thank you. Just
Does
clarify.
the concern make sense? Like, if there's some benchmark target we're trying to hit, then that seems like, okay, that's a KPI. We're measuring against something towards a goal. A lot of these are just tracking data without, like, maybe the goal is to begin to track the data. Maybe that could be a goal. But like, percent of annual town general fund operating budget appropriated to the schools department. Like, is that is there a benchmark goal, or do we just want to track it? We track it now.
It's tracking for now, and then there may be a goal in the future, but right now that's a tracking mechanism.
Do you understand the confusion, though?
Yes.
Like, of
There's
why
two
is-
different things.
Why is that a KPI? Because we do track that. It's in every annual report that we publish.
Right, so that's an easy win, right? So that's a KPI that we already do, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. But if you're not comfortable with it, we can
But what does it
certainly
mean, though, in terms of reaching this goal?
Yeah, I know, I don't mean to be critical. I think there's a lot of great work here. I'm just trying to make sure it makes sense why we're like having a little bit of trouble saying, yeah, we endorse, like, I can't really endorse percent of land dedicated, preserved as open space. Like, do we have a certain place that we are and we want to maintain it? Is that the KPI?
Or do we want to grow?
Or do we want to grow it? Is that the KPI? Because usually I'm just thinking of KPIs as, it's usually something that, like, here's where you are, here's where you're targeting, and you grade yourself on progress towards goal. It's not sort of like, we're gonna track data. In some cases, we don't I don't know if we track this in this
Well,
way,
and
so.
we're not asking the board to have every increment of tracking right now or every percentage right now. These are, and if the board's not comfortable with adopting a strategic plan without having those points in place, that's gonna take us a long time to get to. I'm, again, not pushing you on anything. I just wanna, so we will be developing some of these percentages or some of these tracking points over time. We won't have the numbers in place today or even in 2 weeks or even in a month sometimes.
But, I mean, how are we gonna make that clear to the public when this goes out and people see this and ask questions like, what do these KPIs mean, like you're hearing from the board?
So maybe the issue is that KPIs is the wrong terminology to be describing this, since we can't, listening to Kristen, we can't have some of the metrics
Yeah.
you guys are talking about.
Yeah,
So
that makes
maybe the issue is nomenclature.
It's data collection?
Maybe that, I don't know off the top of my head, but maybe it's something like that versus KPIs. I think that might be the confusion.
Maybe we start collecting the data, and then once we have some data, we formulate KPIs.
My issue would be, how do you measure success, and what are your goals? For example, open space. We've always had that question out there, how much open space is enough? 25% of the area of the town is either owned by the town or under some kind of restriction, conservation restriction, or so forth. So there's 75% of the town that's not, and that's privately owned. So, and for the most part. So the question is, how much open space is enough? And then the question on the KPIs is, once you get the answer or the number, what does that mean? What are you gonna, what's your reaction to that number gonna be? You need to improve it, reduce
Or
it?
stay the same or
Yeah,
reduce
I
it.
mean, it's, that,
I'm with you. I almost wonder if you want to call them like metrics under development. That's like a little bit more descriptive of what you mean, I think. Well, at least a lot of people, when they say KPI, are gonna be like, okay, where's the target? How are we measuring? Are we Yeah, top of class or not? As we go through this, I think the KPIs are probably the biggest single thing that is probably going to change as we start putting that data together. I mean, just in doing the climate piece, found things that I would like to change potentially that might make it a more relevant measure against other towns, for example, so.
This is back to the TQM days.
Is it, is the, I guess, is the question at this point simply inclusion of KPIs or leaving?
You call
them
these
in-
metrics under development,
Yeah.
I would vote to approve it. I just think KPIs means something specific, which is like an actual target goal, which is not what these are yet. Like, you need to do this first, probably.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw on the Excel sheet I had a column for target. I have no idea what those targets
Yeah.
are yet.
That's why,
So
I think,
that's a big piece of it.
yeah, I think KPIs may be what you get in a year, and to Tom's point, you want about the metrics now. So, yeah, if we change nomenclature, I think we're in violent agreement.
So what were you thinking, metrics under consideration or metrics under
Metrics under development is what,
Development.
Would it make sense to pull those into an appendix?
The mod squad.
That, because that reduces a little bit of the visibility right now. I do like that idea.
So an appendix idea?
I just think this is gonna open up a lot of questions that we're just not prepared to answer. I think it's great, I think we should be collecting the data, as long as it doesn't take staff's, an undue amount of staff's time. I have a couple of these, like I pointed out to you, Kristen, that I think are a little wishy-washy. I'm not sure I would select those particular ones, but, you know, overall, I think moving it to an appendix, changing the label, that would make me feel a lot more comfortable
Yeah.
disseminating this to the public after that.
Well, the KPIs can easily make their way into, like, the implementation workbook. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
Yep.
more of kind of the back end, that's our sausage back there, so.
Makes sense.
I mean, and it sounds like what I'm hearing is cut off the
Cut off
last
that last
column.
column.
or just line through KPIs and write metrics under development.
Well, but Chris does bring up a good point. If we're not 100% on these, do we want them to be part of the memorialized document, or do we want them in a piece of the document that's gonna change more over time?
But if they're
as we
I'm fine
think
with that,
through
too.
it?
Or if they're under development,
Yeah.
they could change, so it's
I mean,
really at the pleasure of the board.
The very fact it says under development means they're gonna change.
Right,
So-
right, exactly. But it gives the public a insight of what we may be measuring in the future, or what we may be looking at in the future. So again, I'll let the board take 2 weeks to review the document. If you have any other feedback, please send it along as soon as you can. We'll also talk with Raftellus about what their thoughts are, you know, changing the title or tightening this up, or putting in an appendix as well, and report that back to the
But
board.
we do have a motion on the floor, so do you wanna vote on that?
Or do you wanna take 2
Do we
weeks?
have it?
We wanna take 2 weeks?
I'm fine with taking 2 weeks if that's what
Okay.
folks want to do. I just didn't know if, you know, you folks at least wanted to know that we supported the 7.
I think we get that understanding
Okay.
from your commentary
All right.
tonight. We built it
Okay.
in as a draft to the budget with the budget hearings that you've been seeing. I'd love to use it in my presentation to town meeting on March 22nd a little bit, to talk about the budget and to talk about the state of the town, but certainly take your time.
Motion withdrawn, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a question, who did this presentation, Raftellus, or you?
I did,
You did?
with Raftellis's
Okay.
wording and verbiage and things like that.
Does a communication group get into this at all? or-
Not yet. They're writing a press release for us when we do finally adopt the strategic plan, but they haven't developed presentations for us yet.
It looks good, I just, yeah.
I did use our new color scheme from the website and from the strategic plan, so I got a little bit of PowerPoint schooling this week with color scheming.
Nice.
Yeah, I think this is very much on track, so,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you for your input and support.
Getting some
I
comments?
think we're getting.
Oh, hey, Mike.
Okay, go ahead, yeah.
Please.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Mike Berlinski, as Chair of the Clean Energy and Sustainability Committee. Just wanted to express our gratitude for all that focus on sustainability, for separating out as its own strategic outcome area, all the focus of the Select Board member and Kristen and town staff. We really appreciate the focus and highlight for environmental sustainability, recognizing the town's goals, and look forward to working with the board, town staff, and other boards and committees on that and other areas. So again, thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks to your committee.
In fact, yeah, thank you, because without that kind of back and forth, we wouldn't have it. So.
I don't think we'd have the implementation table as built out. That gave us a lot of direction for how we want to take the other outcome there.
And thank you to the board for funding NIMCOG to help us with that as well.
Wasn't there a grant involved in that too, though?
It was an ARPA
Yeah.
funding, yes.
So next up, annual town meeting, and our budgets are sitting very patiently. I was on time too for a while there, but, so, today we want to review the articles, not take positions, but if we could pull up the articles, I guess, Mike?
So we do have the draft articles before you. One thing that is not in the packet is we did receive a citizen petition at the 2 p.m. deadline today. So once I go through all the articles, I can describe that as well for members of the public. I did send that in advance to the board. At this point in time, we have 26 articles potential for annual town meeting. So Ms. Harkness, I don't know if you wanted to lead with anything or if you wanted to. Okay.
It'll be 27 when the citizens petition.
I see 25 in the packet, so 26 pluses. You may have an older version. We'll get you the most updated version. So again, town meeting will be on Saturday, March 22nd, starting at 9 a.m. at Westford Academy. Starting to fill the gymnasium first, and then we will have the 3 other spaces if needed. This evening, you'll be voting to close the warrant, and then your next meeting, you'll be voting to set the order and the articles. The FinCom will then go through their process of reviewing the financial articles, and then your board will review to make a motion on your recommendation or not. There are 1 or 2 articles in this warrant that I did want to discuss just about if you wanted to sponsor them or not, and then we can have that prepared for your next meeting. So Article 1 at this point in time is to accept town reports. That's a traditional article. Article 2 is to approve fiscal year 25 budget supplemental appropriation. Article 3 is to approve fiscal year 25 budget transfers. Article 4 is another traditional article approving perchlorate expenses. Article 5 is a new article to appropriate funds for energy efficiency projects. We ran into an issue with the library where we didn't have available funding for heat pumps at that point in time. We were going to get reimbursed. It was not part of the funding scheme for the project. Mike and Jeff Goodwin have also been working on other energy efficiency projects where we may need cash up front. So that is a placeholder right there. We will have more information for both the FinCom and your board moving forward about the mechanics of how that may work if town meeting adopts that.
Because mechanics basically, yeah, you're, like with the library, you were going to fund up front and get the money back, so the fund becomes self-perpetuating.
Correct. Yes, right.
Is there a certain amount that you are going to be recommending for this article, or is it just kind of?
I think it's still under development.
Pardon?
It's still under development of the amount. Article 6 is our capital appropriations. The Capital Planning Committee has met and has completed their recommendations. I'm not going to go through all of them, but Chris has and John have both sat on the Capital Planning Committee meetings, and thank you for your input and your support. There are likely 2 items that will come off. We do have a placeholder right now for a recreation vehicle and for wastewater treatment plant. We believe that we'll be getting a replacement recreation vehicle from the police department, from one of their cruisers, and we believe that we'll be able to use credits, am I using their correct terminology?
Yeah, we've.
For energy efficiency, to replace an oil.
99.9% we'll be able to electrify that building.
At the Abbott wastewater treatment plant.
cost.
Cool.
Great. Article 7 is a placeholder. We do expect the bids to come back for the PFAS treatment plant in advance of town meeting. If for any reason there is that is overbid and it's acceptable to town meeting, we do have a placeholder for that appropriation. I'm crossing my fingers that we do not have to do that. Article 8 is to approve the feasibility study for the MSBA project at the Robinson School. That is for $1.6 million. There is a component of reimbursement if we do move forward with the construction that includes the feasibility, that it's about 48% on the total cost of the project, including feasibility. So the Robinson School Building Committee will have a presentation for the select board to go through that request. Community preservation funds, I believe the committee is meeting at this point in time, or they already met this evening. I believe there's 5 projects potentially, so it's a light year for community preservation. 2 are lighting projects, one at the VFW field and one at Westford Academy. One is a private project at Good Picking Farms, and I don't recall the other 2 off the top of my head. I think the general appropriations for Affordable Housing Trust and Conservation Commission as well. Article 10 is our standard revolving fund, no changes to that. Article 11 is our fiscal year 26 operating budget, which will be finishing those public hearings on Thursday evening in this room and hybrid with the FinCom. Article 12 is our traditional Chapter 90. I also attended a session at the Mass Municipal Association conference on Friday where the governor proposes additional Chapter 90 funding, so we're waiting to hear from that budget process as well.
Is that part of the millionaire's tax?
No, that's separate. So the fair share apportionment is the millionaire's tax. She's also looking to up the Chapter 90 in addition to that. Article 13 is our water OPEB traditional article. Article 14 is a new article. The assessors, the Board of Assessors is proposing additional veterans tax exemption under state law, new state law. Article 15 is to establish a 300th anniversary celebration fund. As some of you may be aware, the town of Westford turns 300 in the year 2029. Many communities are creating a fund through their town meeting process where people can donate into the fund, and then those funds are used for 300 celebration activities. Fireworks potentially, other activities, and then we may be coming back to the board to ask for you to create a 300 celebration committee, as I'm not sure what the town of Westford may want to do, but there's other committees out there right now, because there's other communities turning 300 before we are.
I want to get invitations like the one from Lexington.
That's right. Article 16 is to authorize the select board to accept easements, a traditional article. Article 17 is to authorize the board to accept easements associated specifically with the Stony Brook Bridge project. Article 18 is to authorize the select board to accept easements specifically related to the West Street at North Main Street pedestrian safety improvements. You heard that presentation from the town engineer a few weeks ago. Article 19 is to authorize the select board to accept easements for the Acton Road Culvert Project and the Reed Brook Culvert Project. Article 20 is a resolution to accept Boston Road as a public way. We've reviewed this with town council. It is a state requirement through Mass DOT that the town meeting accept the roadway in advance of the construction, which is very backwards and awkward. So we've worked with town council and DOT that if we put a resolution before town meeting and then accept when the road is completed, that they would be satisfied with that.
What happens if that doesn't pass? What would happen?
I will ask DOT.
We don't get a road.
We may not get a road, but they have started some work out there. Article 21 is a placeholder we're currently reviewing with town council related to the library drainage easements, if it's required to go to town meeting or if it can be accomplished just with the select board and the board of library trustees. The planning board is beginning their public hearing process under Article 22 for the floodplain zoning bylaw. Article 23 is the opt-in stretch code. Your board has reviewed this matter at least twice, and we've asked for it to be delayed until this town meeting. We feel that we're prepared to bring it forward. There is a public forum next Thursday at Millennium and via Zoom with the state and the Clean Energy Committee to talk more about the opt-in code. And our new building inspector actually has familiarity with the code, as he worked in the community of Needham before, and they did adopt the code and have been implementing the code. Article 24 is also to amend the general bylaw for animal control fees. We feel that we're quite out of whack on that, so we're working with the animal control officer and town council related to those fees.
What is that, like dog licenses, or is that
No,
stray animals?
It's when there's a violation or an issue. It's not dog licenses.
It's just for those listening to be clear that.
Sure, yeah, thank you for asking that clarification. Article 25 is to accept Diane Lane as a public way. As you may recall, this was a placeholder on the October special town meeting. The developer was not ready, and DPW was not satisfied at that point in time. All documentation is in order, so we believe that that'll be moving forward. And then the final article that we received via citizen petition is to amend the general bylaw to change the day of the week of the general election for the town of Westford from a Tuesday to a Saturday. That's been looked at by the school department and the school committee, as they currently close school on Tuesdays related to election. They feel that it's a safety matter. So again, that is a citizen petition that was filed today. So at this point in time, there's 26 articles on the warrant for your consideration.
Just to be clear on the latter, the school committee's decision is also that with the town and school safety task force, that we recommended closing schools on that day too, so.
So with that, I would request a motion to close the warrant.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Anything you want to add, Madam Moderator?
The only thing I would ask is that we think about the possibility of going over and whether we're going to have the continuation meeting on Monday or the following Saturday. It's just something we need to think about. Maybe you and I can discuss it.
I think Lori has reserved all three with the school department, but we can definitely talk about
I think
that.
she has as well, but as things firm up, it'll get clearer, but we need to be prepared, I think, just in case.
Yes.
Thanks. Next item is old and new business. So first, to authorize the town manager and assistant town manager for strategic operations as alternate to execute a contract for the supply of electricity for Westford's Community Electricity Aggregation Program, or POP. Is that
Mike, you want
Mike?
to take that?
Yeah, so you guys would have been through this a few years ago, so we're in the process now of, we had the plan revision get submitted to DPU earlier last week. They will be, we're still looking at continuing the current contract with Good Energy under the CEA, the same aggregation plan we've been through since 2014. And they'll be coming out to meet Mike with Clean Energy on the 4th? When are they coming out?
I'm not sure.
I think
thought
it's-
there was a meeting today, I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're meeting with, they're gonna come out, basically, the way this will work again, as it has in the past, we have very little flexibility or room with the majority of the contract itself. We are able to choose the renewables mixes that go into the different tiers. So they'll be coming out, making some recommendations, and having some discussion with Clean Energy. They will bring a recommendation to the board. That information then gets conveyed to Good Energy. When this goes out to bid, we basically have to be ready to sign the contract within an hour. So that's what we're.
That's the part I don't remember. I didn't remember last time we did this, that we only, I mean, I remember it was really short, for somehow I remember it was
It's
like.
an hour.
I didn't remember it being an hour.
Yeah, I actually found all the old ones where they had authorized a
Okay.
previous town manager and assistant to do it, so we basically just recreated the same process. So we'll still have the flexibility based on CEASC's recommendation on the mix of what goes into each tier. You guys will get to approve it. We'll communicate that to Good Energy. That's what they'll put, package ours up together. They'll bid it. We got an hour to accept it.
Okay, so is there a motion to so authorize?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, oh,
Question.
yep.
Hi, Mike Berlinski, as Chair of the Clean Energy and Sustainability Committee, we'd just like to know when you would like our recommendation for some of the characteristics of the POP program, such as the additional content of renewable energy, as we've done in the past. So, in this memo, there's a couple, I think, select board dates. Our next meeting is at the end of February, February 26th. That's right after your February 25th meeting. So I just wanted, is that okay for us to vote, and then we would deliver our recommendation to you by your next meeting, maybe early March? Is that okay for a late March bid?
Yeah, we can go either the February 25th or the March 11th. So March 11th works just fine, that's what we've got in the memo. We have to communicate this to Good Energy roughly around the 19th, so we've got time.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We'll do that.
Next, to appoint Patty Doobie as constable.
Where did this come from?
What are the duties of constable? Do you get to carry a six-shooter?
I think that's like Barney Fife, she gets one bullet.
I've been a constable, it's just for the purposes of posting the warrant.
And for a term expired June 30th, 2027. Is there a motion to,
So moved.
second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Congratulations, Patty, you get a little badge, a little
Thank
tin
you very
star.
much. I wish I had a badge.
She should get like a badge or a star or
Yeah,
something.
really.
Little tin star.
Like a big hat.
A star, we should get it like a big star.
That'd be great, like a Marshall star.
Patty Earp.
That's me.
Next, minutes for approval and for release, our regular session minutes from November 26th, 2024, December 10th, 2024, and December 17th, 2024. Is a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Board reports or updates? Anybody? So on to town manager's report.
Sure. So first matter is I'd like to ask the board to appoint Assistant Town Manager for Strategic Operations, Mike Edwards, as acting town manager, beginning Wednesday, February 12th through Thursday, February 20th, as I will be out of town those dates.
Can you declare February 14th as a
Holiday?
town holiday?
Well, we do close at 1 o'clock on Fridays now, so we'll give our town employees the afternoon off.
Tend to buy flowers. Okay, is a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're gonna pass over item B. There are several grants. We'd like to ask the board to accept the Mass DEP Sustainable Materials Recovery Program grant in the amount of $8,190 as requested by the town manager's office. We'd also like to thank the Westford Recycling Committee for their work on this grant. We'd like to ask the board to accept the Department of Fire Services Firefighter Safety Grant in the amount of $10,973 as requested by the fire department. And then we'd like to request that the board approve the submission of an application to the Community Compact Grant for next generation firewall upgrades in the amount of $100,000 as requested by the technology department.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Moving on to purchase orders, we have a purchase order for Minuteman Trucks for a 2025 International HV 507 six-wheel dump truck in the amount of $238,740 as requested by the Public Works Department. Again, Minuteman Trucks for a 2025 International HV 507 six-wheel hook lift truck in the amount of $257,399 as requested by the Public Works Department. Global Public Safety for lights in the amount of $12,796 as requested by the Fire Department, and Bergeron Protective Clothing for 5 sets of gear in the amount of $18,663.26 as requested by the Fire Department.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
And then contracts for Mayor Services, Inc. for the repair, cleaning, and redevelopment of the Nutting Wells in the amount of $40,763 as requested by the Water Department.
Motion to
moved.
approve?
So moved.
All, second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Move to waive reading of correspondence. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot one.
No, you're right, you can waive, but that's fine.
Go for it, please.
I want to, okay, move, did I miss something?
No, you made the motion. I'll second.
Okay,
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And then, motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Westford, good night.
Good night.